currency. And the best thing you can do is learn how to spend this currency to help somebody, to reach and help somebody. You make a living with what you get, you make a life with what you give. The collective creativity, which is the most powerful creativity on earth, when you all get together and doing it. That's what Ubuntu means in South Africa. That can inspire people to come together and shine a light on something other than themselves. That came through loud and clear in 1985 when an unexpected call came to me from Lionel Richie and his manager, Ken Cragen. They told me Harry Belafonte felt we should be doing something about hundreds of thousands of people in Ethiopia who were also starving to death as well of famine and civil war. Band Aid had been a success in Europe. That's when I first met Bono. We've become partners in crime and a lot of the good things. They're doing something about it over there, and we're not, Harry said. He suggested we organize a tour. Too complicated to have 46 stars on the road at one time. I could handle 30, but not 46. We decided to do an all-star record event in 12 hours instead. With human voices, you have to be very careful. Drums or synthesizers is much easier. Then I suggested that Lionel and Michael Jackson co-write the song, and they came up with We Are the World. Check Your Egos at the Door was written in a letter, but it was not necessary. All these artists came in that studio with the right spirit. They came with their hearts and the passion to make an attempt to change I, me, my, to we, us, and they, and ours. Yeah, I've heard all the little cute little cracks about people made about the song, and it was just a bunch of rich elitists getting together for self-aggrandizement. But none of us had a clue that USA for Africa would raise $63 million to feed the hungry and guilt our government into spending $800 million more. You do the math. We sent our first experiment with the logistics of something of this nature. We sent over $1 million worth of food to Ethiopia. We just handed it over to the Ethiopian government, who at the time was in conflict with Eritrea. They dumped it in the desert and said, if they want it, let them come get it. And in 4 days, $1 million worth of food spoiled. That's when we realized we've got to go to work, go to school, and learn what we're doing, what's happening on the ground. We realized that all major world issues are extremely complex and multifaceted. We had to go to school and understand the realities and mechanics of how do you do this. The bottom line is if you don't know what's happening on the ground, money and passion are definitely not enough. We learned the hard way. I remember Bono and I both said, we're going to school now. And we met all the heads of states of everybody in the world and did our homework 25 years ago. My lifelong commitment to helping my brothers and sisters in Africa began in 1970, working with Nelson Mandela. It's my baby brother, big brother. Visiting the Northwest Province was the genesis of a trip in 1999, which I co-hosted at Mr. Mandela's request. Through my Listen Up Foundation, we had a great opportunity to take 5 male and female at-risk, hardcore black belt gangbangers from South Central to South Africa. That was the trip. And they got a chance to see how the people 10,000 miles away from their home in the city, how they lived. After 10 days in South Africa, our tough, seen-it-all, hardcore kids from South Central got down on their knees and cried like babies and kissed the hand when they met Nelson Mandela. We took them everywhere. We watched the spirit of African Ubuntu. That's the ancient expression they use. We saw Ubuntu take over their souls. Ubuntu, the African collective spirit that means that is bigger than, the collective is always bigger than any one individual. That's what's held South Africa together spiritually. We saw it, we witnessed it, and we saw it transform their lives. Check it out.
On Nelson Mandela's 80th birthday, Quincy Jones made a pledge to build 100 homes in the poorest areas of South Africa.
Searching for a way to help, maybe a good start would be their basic living conditions. But we couldn't do it alone. We needed the right partners. So I asked my dear friend Richard Lovett from CAA. He immediately said yes. Then he told me about Michelle Kidd and Habitat for Humanity. And I realized these were my people. My brothers, my sisters. I had to do something. I could not just stand by and watch.
5 youths from South Central Los Angeles were selected to take part in this cross-cultural house-building experience.
My name is Joanna Johnson.
My name is Hector Sanchez.
My name is Yayla Meeway.
I grew up in the areas of both South Central and Watts. My family actually moved to South Central, where I grew up with a stepfather that was an alcoholic and also a drug addict, which led me to start affiliating with the local gangs in my area. And I decided that at around the age of 17, I would stop affiliating so much with the gangs in my area, because I went to school one day to pick up my younger brother, and in an all-crip school, he was wearing a red rag trying to mimic me. So that's what made me really decide that I need to change my life. So I started working with a nonprofit organization that deals directly with gang members.
I grew up in South Central LA in a neighborhood that was infested with crime and violence and drugs. Growing up was very difficult, trying to keep my life straight, trying to make my parents proud, because they were always working hard trying to provide food for us. Right now, I'm helping the gang members and everybody in the community just to get more involved and to make change in the community.
I'm a survivor of incest, rape, alcohol and drug abuse. I've been associated with gangs. Because of that now, I've had the past of sealing myself and assimilating myself into the dominant culture, I tried to prevent others from doing it. So I work in the community. I try to fight for people's freedom and for their self-identity, or to help guide them into their self-identity.
The delegation members were invited guests to the Nelson Mandela Children's Foundation AIDS Orphan Appeal.
As you can see, we were all so deeply moved by this amazing event, and this is where we were totally blown away.
Let's stand as one in unity and take action against HIV.
We came as strangers, hoping to make friends. And by the time we left, we were family. Moto, Kimoto, Kabato. We're all in this together.